This conference will now be recorded.
All right, and I'll hand it off to Mike. He's going to do a quick introduction and make mention of our virtual session for tomorrow, and then jump into the emblems. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we've got a virtual session with John Craman, who is the NBC announcer for Mecum Auctions. He's going to talk a little bit on the upcoming auction in Indianapolis and a little bit about the collector car market in that area there. I am truly surprised that we've got over 100 people signed up for this emblem session, which I am amazed, and I appreciate everybody signing up, and I hope I make a presentation that you get something out of here. So with that,
Mike,
we'll get started.
Mike,
yeah.
Real quick on the Mecum session, just so everybody's aware, you do not get a judging point for that. It's just a general session. You could register the same way through the national website. The link, there is no deadline for registration, so that link, when you go to the national website, will be active throughout the presentation, so you can log in at any point in time if you want to listen in. That starts at 1 o'clock tomorrow Eastern time, and it may be an hour to hour and a half long. Wes Wells, do you want to say anything before Mike jumps into things?
Sure. So good morning, everybody from Central Ohio. My name is Wes Wells, and I represent the Heart of Ohio NCRS chapter. We're a chapter of about 80 members. We represent people mainly in the Central Ohio region. We also kind of extend up into Toledo and Cleveland, a little bit in Pittsburgh, West Virginia, around the Dayton area. And Nick and Mike didn't do a great job of introducing themselves, but this is about our 4th or 5th session that we've held virtually on the tech sessions. Nick Petrucci is our judging co-chair. Mike Treese will be our presenter today. He's a master level judge. And we have gotten great feedback on these. They're very informative, as well as we'll be recording these and having them up on our website. So if you missed something and you want to go back to it, they're pretty easy to go access. We do have a website on, it's ncrs.org/HOO. You can see all of our events listed on there, as well as our kind of chapter activities. But welcome you guys to the session. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Mike, and appreciate everybody being on this morning.
Okay, we'll get started with the emblems here. First emblem is what they originally was going to put on the cars. This was on a Motorama car till they figured out that I guess it's illegal to use the American flag on a logo for a product. So they switched it when they come up with the 53s here to this here. The original 53s, you can see that around the edge of the black and white flag, it is very dark, where the reproductions are fairly light around the edges here. And if you look at the originals, they're very distinctive. They're about 2 7/8 inches in diameter, mounted on the front nose of the cars. On the sides of the 53s, 54s, and 55s, they've got the Chevrolet. This is what they call the flat script. If you look at the face here, it is very flat. If you go on to the, if you see one that's got a pointed area on the end of the letters, that is a passenger car. It is not for the Corvettes, but that is what Chevrolet replaced the flat script over here with. They done away with the flat script. You can no longer get it from Chevrolet. In 55, when the V8s come out, they put a large gold V in the Chevrolet. 56 and 57s, they changed the emblem a little bit. Still about the same size. little different configuration. Letters are all gold. The flag sticks are gold, and the V with the black and white, and the red flags. The originals are a little more distinctive as far as the letters. The corners are more squared, not rounded like a lot of the reproductions. 57, there is no side emblems on the 56. The 57, you've got a cross flags, and the fuel injected cars also got the fuel injection emblem on here. And if you'll look at the fuel injection emblem, it is all one piece, and it is painted black between the fuel and the injection. It is painted black in there to kind of separate them. The same emblem is used on the back. The back trunk decks have also have the round emblem, the same as the front on both 56 and 57. And only the fuel injection cars got the fuel injection insignia. 58 to 60, we have changed the front emblem and the side emblems. You can see here they got the cross flags on there, which is a little different than the 57s. The front nose emblem and the rear trunk emblem are the same. As you can see here, the one on the right, the letters are a lot more distinctive than the reproductions here. We'll go over a couple other things here just a second on these. They're a three-piece emblem. They got a bezel on the front, the plastic piece in the middle, and a backer plate that's spun aluminum on the 58 through 60 and 61 and 62 trunks has the same emblem. The 61 is identical to this. The 62 has a different back plate. It is painted black. Here you can see the bezel on the front and the back emblem, or the back plate, and the back plate on these are spun aluminum. The 62s can be spun aluminum or mild steel, but they're painted black is the difference. In 62, why there's a different number. For the plastic piece, sits in between there. And some of the differences on the plastic pieces, you can see right here the Chevrolet bow tie emblem on the reproduction is quite a ways away from the V, and you can see a difference in the bars underneath. On this section here on a checkered flag, you can see that the reproduction comes clear out to the V, where on the originals there's a gap between there. And you can see a lot of difference in the letters, the way the corners are made. They're a lot more crisp on the all the 90-degree corners, rather than the reproductions are kind of rounded. On the 58 through 61s, if it's a fuel injected car, it's got the fuel injected insignia on the front fender, and in most cases it don't run parallel with the car. It usually runs uphill just a little bit toward the front. You can kind of see it on the 61 here, how it kind of runs uphill in this area. The 61s, they changed from the cross flags. They got bars along the side, and the front emblems are have changed on the 61, but the rear deck, the rear trunk emblem is still the same as what it was on the 58s. The 61 front, just a cross flag over the V's. And if you look at the Corvette across here, if you put a straight edge across the top, the center letters are down somewhere not quite a quarter of an inch, I think, in the middle. from what they are on the outside. It kind of slopes down in the middle and back up. There's a close-up of the cross flag emblem. A lot of the reproductions are more of a maroon color in the red area here. The originals were a red-orange. Here's the 61 side emblems. You can see the top is red, the bottom is blue, and Corvette in the middle. It is reversed on the other side, and they are on an angle. They will not interchange from side to side. They are side oriented. And just kind of threw this in. I had a member send me this picture. This was from the Mako Shark concept car in 61. A little bit different emblem than what we're used to. In 62, we got this cross flags on the side, but the fuel injection is no longer up on the upper part of the fender. It's down in a little block emblem. If it's not a fuel injected car, that is not there. It's just the cross flags on the side. The front nose, the cross flags are in a round 4-inch circle. Same thing with the letters across the front. They bow down in the center. If you put a straight edge across the top, they drop down some. There's a close-up of the front emblem. Here's a carbureted car. You can see they don't have the fuel injection bar across the bottom. And the side emblems, you can see, I tried to get a good picture, but the originals you can see are a lot more crisp. The corners are more rounded on all the reproductions, and it's more of a maroon than the red orange. If you actually see the emblems, you can actually see the difference between the reproductions and the originals, and you can actually feel a difference between them. The 62 versus the 63 emblems, you can see the 62s up here are a lot thinner than the 63s. There is a what they call a part where it is forged. You can kind of see the line on the originals. A lot of the reproductions does not have that. The back side, you can see the 63, the studs are farther out than they are in the 62s, and they're a little bigger. The other thing is that the Pilot 63 cars come down the line with the 62s, and a Pilot 63 car should have the thinner emblem on it. The regular 63s, I don't think should ever had the thin ones on, because when they changed the line over for the 63s, I'm sure they changed the template for the drilling the holes, and I don't think that you could possibly ever get the thin ones in place of the thick ones with the template like it was. Here's the trunk emblem on the 62s. You can see the back area is black. That's the only difference between that and the from the 58s on up. There is a different part number, and I'm sure it's due to the finish on the back plate. And that's all of the C1s. Is there anybody got any questions or any comments on anything on the C1 emblems?
Yeah, there's Mike, I got one chat question. Do you know if the holes were hand drilled on the C1 fuel injection emblems? Is that why they were slanted? If so, is that why they're all slanted?
I would say they probably had a template and it's the way it went on the car. I don't know. I don't know if Dave Heitzman's on here or not, if he might have any comments on this or not, but from what I understand, there was pretty much templates for all the holes drilled.
Mike, I have a question on the 62 rear emblem.
Yes.
Can you talk to the gold lettering versus silver and the black cup background versus spun aluminum?
From what I understand, all of the original ones were gold. If it's a silver, I've read both ways that there was a few silver ones, but I don't know if they've ever been documented as being the original from the factory. As far as the black back, I don't know why they changed that in 62. It just, I know that I never read anything or found any information on why they would have changed it from the spun aluminum to the black, unless the steel backing would have been cheaper and the paint would have been cheaper than the spun aluminum backs. I don't, unless the penny pinchers did it that way. It's the only thing I could figure.
Thanks, Mike.
No other questions. We'll start into the C2s.
Hey, one other quick question for me out of curiosity on the for the flags, the left flag that's red.
Yes.
You can see the Chevrolet logo on the far left. What is the symbol to the right of it?
The piece right here.
Yep.
The fleur-de-lis.
Huh?
The fleur-de-lis, the French.
Yeah.
Is there a
Okay.
reason why they chose that? Does anybody know?
Because Chevrolet was from France.
Hmm.
Gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question on the right cross flags.
Yes.
The top left square, it kind of, I know on slide 36, it was a black on the top left, so the checkered pattern was a little bit different. Why did they do differences like that?
I can't really tell you why they changed them. I know in 66, well, when we get to that point, I'll go over it, but it is both ways. White, I think it's white early and black late, or it's vice versa. But I can't tell you why they changed it, but if you go through here all the way from 53 all the way through, it can be either way, and it depending on early or late in 66, which way it is. And I know the hubcaps, I think the horn button and the gas cap flag was all the same, but the front emblem was opposite in part of it, which
I know the 70, 71, 72 horn buttons they flip flop.
right.
So it's
There's a lot of cases of that where it can be either way.
okay. Thank you.
And I don't have an answer for you why why it can be either way, or whether they had multiple manufacturers and one did it one way and one did it the other way, or why it's like that. Anything else? Any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll move on to the C2 stuff then. 63, 64 had the same front emblem. The side emblems were the bigger ones. It was a fuel injected car. The fuel injection emblem was this way in 63 and 64. 65 it changed. The 63 fuel door. Basically just the cross flags in the center with a white background. On the rear decks of the mid-years, there was a this emblem on the right rear corner above the taillights. You can see it is sloped a little bit to the right. The Stingray is recessed in the bar, and you get back into your 66, this changes. There's a nose emblem for a 64, which was the same as a 63. The fuel door for the 64, you can see they put circles around the outside of the cross flags. '64 rear deck's the same as the 63. 65 will be the same also. 65 front nose, they done away with the big V and just put the cross flags up there. 65, it was more of a red orange on the left flag. In 65, the early A.O. Smith cars, the side emblem was forward between the first two slots till around 4,500 VIN. After that, A.O. Smith got it corrected, and all St. Louis cars was right directly over the center slot. And I found this kind of interesting. The side emblem, it says cut off the rearmost stud on the right-hand side only, closest to the nut as possible before heater installation. So if you can see that stud sticking through, if the guy did his job at the factory, it should be cut off right by the Powell nut. 65, if it was fuel injected, it got this emblem, changed a little bit from the 63, 64s. There's the fuel injection emblem mounted on the car, location above the louvers. It was a big block, come out in 65. It got this emblem along the side. There's the location mounting it directly over the louvers, like it was on the fuel injection and the flags. 65 gas door, they rearranged the outside circles around, instead of having just the circles like it was in 64. They got more of a railroad track pattern, you might call it, but they got lines crossways with a black circle around. 66 front nose emblem is like the 65. The only difference is the 66 is more of a maroon color, not the red orange like the 65. You'll find that also on the side flags. This picture don't do it really. It's more of a maroon than this bright red. This is more of a red orange like the earlier ones, but it should be more of a maroon color. I didn't get a very good picture of that, I guess. Here's the emblems on the hubcaps. You can see that in the late cars, the whites are in the corners this way, the blacks are in the corners this way. On the early cars, it's opposite. The whites are in the corners this way, and the blacks are in the corners this way. Why they changed, I have no clue, but you'll see 66s both ways. Side emblem on the 66 above the louvers like it was on the 65. 66, we got the 427 instead of the 396. The emblem was basically a lot like the 396, just had 427 in the place. '66, we also added the Corvette Stingray emblem on the hood, and you can see it is more up and down not slanted like the 63s, 4s, and 5s were. Also, you'll see that the Stingray is raised between the two bars, where the Stingray on the earlier ones was cut into the bar or cut into the bottom bar piece across there. This is on the front hood, and also on the back deck was the same. 66 fuel door. They put lines between the circles around the outside. There is a difference, a very slight difference between the originals and the reproductions, but I didn't get a very good picture here, I guess, again. So there's the rear deck emblem. You can see it's the same as what was on the hood. 67. Uh-oh. Somebody needs to take off their camera. Thank you. 67, the emblem changed again. Just the cross flags, not quite up, more flattened than they were in the 65, 66. 67, there was no side emblems. The only emblems on the was on a big block hood. The 427, they're individual letters, and the 7, if you look across the top, the 7 will be just a little lower than the 4 and the 2. The holes drilled for the emblems was in this fashion here. You can see there's 2 big and a small, 2 big and a small, 2 big and a small. And if you go to the letters on the back side, you see why. And I'm not sure why the 7 was lower, other than maybe the studs were placed just a little different on the 7 than they were supposed to be to drop it down just a fuzz. It's not very much difference in it, but there is a difference. There's a little better picture. You can see the 2 big studs with the small, I guess it's a kind of a locator stud, so they don't get it on wrong. 67 fuel door with cross flags, but the back behind the fuel door was painted body color. And that's it for the that still had the rear deck emblem on it, the same as the 66. That's it for the C2s. Is anybody got any questions or any comments? Or
Hey, Mike, this is Wes. Do you know if during the C2 period they had multiple vendors supplying those emblems? Is that why the cross flags were, you know, one year they were white and sometimes mid-year they even changed it? Were there multiple vendors supplying that, or do you know if that was domestic? Or I'm assuming it was domestic production, not offshored.
I would assume that there was probably more than one. They usually tried to keep more than one supplier, so if something happened, they always had a source for them, from what I understand. But the emblems, I don't know whether there was, you know, multiple vendors for it, and that's why the difference in the flags. Does anybody have any comments or know anything about that?
Yeah, I can't, to your point, I can't imagine GM was making these, so it was probably somebody, or they have dual sourcing going on, but I just didn't, it's odd that even within the same model year, they, you know, one corner's black and one corner's white.
That's in 66. It seemed like the earlier ones were one way and the later ones were the opposite, but yet the nose emblem stayed the same the whole year. But it seemed like the hubcap emblems, the horn emblem, and the gas door emblem all changed somewhere in 66 during that time.
Hey, Mike, quick chat question. I think it's just a clarification of what you've already covered on the 65 hubcap spinners, the white on the checkered flag for the early cars. What was the orientation of the white? Was it lower left, upper right?
The 66,
65, he had asked.
I don't know on the 65. All I got's the 66 here.
Okay.
I didn't get a picture of the 65s on here. But I'm pretty sure they were all the same on 65, and I don't remember which corner they were in right off the hand. I think the blacks was in 65. I think the blacks was the same as the this right here. Anything else on the mid-years? No more comments, no more questions? Okay, we'll go to the C3s. Front emblem was just the cross flags. On the 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. The gas door on early 68s, the emblem was riveted on. Later on, they went to acorn nuts to hold them on. 68, there was no side emblems on the car. Just if it was a 427, they had the individual letters on the hood. Showing the location where they're at on the hood. In 69, they added the Stingray, all one word, to the sides above the louvers. This happens to be a 71, 72 with the louvers down here, or the egg crates instead of the louvers. But they added the Stingray from 69 to 76. Location for the 69. Also, the original ones had a two-sided adhesive on the back side stuck to it. They was not held on with nuts, and the originals were basically straight down here, where some of the earlier reproductions had this collar basically around the bottom. Also, the stud difference, the length of the studs was a lot different on the originals versus the reproductions. If you look on the insides and you see a short stud, you'll know that it's a reproduction rather than the long one. You can see them from the inside. If you look on the under the hood, back toward the outside, you can see them sticking through. The gas doors basically were all the same. The cross flags were basically the same as the front from 68 through 73. Like I said earlier, though, the 68s, they were riveted on rather than using the acorn nuts to hold them on like the later ones. The rear Corvette across the back of the cars, the 68 through 73 were basically all the same. They were individual letters. Kind of see the size of them. And if you look, the bottoms were thicker than the tops to compensate for the slope on the rear panel. '70 71, 72, 454s had individual letters on the hood, like the 427s did. 73 changed the front emblem, had Chevrolet Motor Division and Corvette around the outside in black over the starburst in the middle. There you can see the individual letters from the 73 or 70 through 72. In 73, 74, it was one unit. The 454 was all attached together. Also in 74, there was no emblem on the gas door. If you judging a 74, check the bottom side of the gas door to make sure there is holes not filled in, because that's a 1 year only gas door. '74, we got the 5-mile-an-hour bumpers, both ends, and the letters were recessed into the bumper. '75, '76, they did away with the black ring around the outside in the Chevrolet Motor Division, put the Corvette up in the sunburst. There's that's on the hood. The gas door is basically the same. The if you had an L82, you got the emblems on the hood bulge. From 75 to 79. Still had the Stingray on the side in 75. Like I said, the emblem on the front was basically the same. It was just a smaller diameter to fit the gas door. And you'll notice in 75, they put a sticker on here for the unleaded fuel. This changes through the years where it's located. Also 75, 76, they had an indentation for the sunburst to fit down in. It was not set on top like the flags and stuff from the earlier cars. '75 rear bumper, individual letters were still there. '76, early '76 had the smaller Corvette emblem, it was only 6 inches, and it was recessed into the bumper. Later '76s had an 8-inch, and it was on the top of the rear bumper. '77, in place of the Stingray, we got the cross emblems, which was like on the front nose and the gas door. This emblem was the same for '77 and '79. '78, we had the 25th anniversary. '78, there was 2 limited edition Corvettes with the pace car and the silver anniversary. Basically had the same nose as what you've seen there, just had different paint schemes for these. The emblems were the same. There's a front end emblem. Side emblem on a silver anniversary. And the gas door emblem is the same as the front, only smaller to fit the fuel door. The bezels changed from chrome to black. the fuel door set on. And you'll also see in 78, the unleaded fuel sticker was down on the body, had the same basic Corvette as the late 76 on the rear bumper. Here's the 79, which is the same as the 77 front nose emblem. Side end basically the same. There you can see the unleaded fuel decal on the body rather than the fuel door in 79. Corvette, basically the same as the late 76. 80, we changed emblems totally on the front nose. You'll notice that it's kind of a silver color down through here. Later on, this changes. You got an L82. It come off of the hood bulge and went down on the sides. You can see the Corvette emblem still about 8 inches long. 81. You notice that the 80s was silver down through here. They changed it to black in 81. Basically the same thing, other than the coloring. Fuel door, basically the same thing. As you can see, this one's got the insert missing on the left side here. And you'll look here, you'll see the unleaded fuel is now embossed in the bezel around the outside. '82 went to the little different front cross flags. You can see the 82 emblem on a standard car. You had the collector's edition. You got basically the same flag, but you had a circle around it with Corvette on the top, and collector's edition in gold letters. All 82s had the crossfire injection emblem on the side fender. Collector's edition with the emblems smaller size than what the front was on the gas door. And you'll notice here they put the unleaded fuel back on the body. There's a standard 82 with the see the crossfire on the side. Okay, that's it for the C3s. Have we got any comments or any questions or anything to add to this?
Yeah, there's a couple chat questions dealing with differences between 67 and 68. The first is the nose emblem the same on 67 and 68?
There's two different part numbers, so I imagine there's a difference. I've never put one side by side to check how close they are.
Okay. And then on the 427 emblem, where you mentioned the 7 was slightly lower on the hood, for the 68, could the same be said for the 67, where the 7 is slightly lower?
The 67 was slightly lower on the 7. The 68, I think, was pretty close to being the same plane. I don't think it dropped down like it did on the 67s.
Okay. And then question I had, were all the emblems for C3s made out of that pot metal? Some almost looked like they were plastic.
Most of the bases were pot metal, but a lot of them had like a plastic type insert glued into some of them. like the C4s are really noted for that. They got inserts glued into the cast metal emblem itself.
Okay. No other chat questions? Anybody else have any questions they want to unmute themselves?
Any comments or anything else you'd like to add?
I had a question about because I seem a big discrepancy in reproduction of the red on the front the flags emblems on the front versus the back. It's like the red, the front ones always seem to be a lighter red than the rear dark red and that. But I thought the original, at least for 1970 or 68 or 70, you know, the red should match the front and the rear, right?
I would say, yeah, that the color should be the same on the year. I know they've changed, you know, like I said, from the red orange in 65 to the more of the maroon in 66, and it pretty much went across the board, side emblems in front and back. So I'm assuming that all the other ones should be basically the same. Same color on the emblems front to back.
Okay, it just seems like the reproduction ones for the rear seem to have the correct dark red, but then whenever they make the reproduction front ones, it's a lighter red, you know. So it's like if you got to buy new emblems for front and rear, they don't match.
Okay.
No, I don't know why they're doing that.
Yeah, it's the same question, you know, why can't they make the reproduction parts right, I guess, you know.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Mike, one other check.
Go
ahead.
Well, they asked on the 454 for I think you showed the 70 units. It looked like the 5 was down from the 4s. It was lower.
Right there. Yeah, on this hood right here, it looks like it's kind of cocked in there, and this car was really original that I took these pictures off of, so I don't think this one has been tampered with. The paint was all original on this car, so I don't know if all of them was like that. This particular one is the one I've got. I know I've got a picture of another one that's basically kind of the same. Can anybody else comment on seeing them, if they were all kind of offset or off?
I have a 1970, yeah, and it seems to be the same way. The 454 hood, they don't seem to be, when they drilled the holes, and they don't seem to be even across all the way with 4 numbers. My 1970 looks exactly the same way.
Yeah, I have a 70, and I haven't looked at it, so I guess now I'm going to have to take a look at it. Thanks for the answer.
That may be why in 73 and 74 they made one complete unit, so they didn't get them on there crooked.
Yes. Maybe their template was wrong for drilling all the holes. I don't know whether they drill all the holes the same time, or because you got like 6 holes here you got to do, and who knows how they handled that. But I had to deal with that just recently, and yeah, it's like, man, this looks terrible.
Yeah. It's not very square. I know that, because you can see my tape measure across the bottom, and it looks like the nose of the 5's down quite a bit from.
Yeah. Yes. Same in 1970, the year before.
Okay. Anything else?
A couple chat questions, Mike. You mentioned 75 was the first year for the unleaded fuel decal. Eventually went to an embossment. What was the full year range where they had decals for unleaded fuel? 75 to when?
I think 82 even had some had the decals on here, but some years it was embossed in the bezel here. In 81, you can see it was embossed in that bezel. So I don't know for sure. Rick Coker, can you add anything? Do you, on the late ones, did they bounce back and forth between the decals and putting them on the bezels?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Then another question on 82s, the hubcap emblem, does that match for the pace car?
No, the center section is different. When I did my wheels and tires, there's a little difference in each year there. I can't tell you right offhand. I know there's a difference in the coloring and difference in the way it's on there. But there is a difference. No, it's not the same as the 78, if I remember right.
In 82, they got rid of the fleur de lis. Is that, anybody know why?
Yeah, it's not on the nose emblems.
No, it's gone.
Yeah. I can't tell you why.
No longer a French car, I guess, huh?
Maybe the bean counters thought that cost too much to put it on. Okay, got anything else or any more comments or questions?
Nothing for me.
Okay, we'll move on to C4s. C4 front emblem. As you can see here, the wings are a little bit on a slope, where if you see the gas cap emblem, you'll see they're straight across. So the front and the back are different. I was wondering if the reproductions if there was a lot of difference between the originals and the reproductions. And I got out my micrometers and they're dead on. Everything is the same measurements. So you can't tell a reproduction on the C4s like you can on the earlier ones, a lot of stuff anyway. And as you can see here, this is a pot metal emblem with plastic inserts in here, and they do pop out. In 84, I told you that the 82s had the crossfire on the fenders. In 84, they put the crossfire on the air cleaner under the hood. There is a crossfire on the outside of the 84s. It's in the rub strip, and it's recessed in the rub strip. It's kind of hard to see it. In 86, we had a pace car again. Basically, the emblems are the same on the pace car. The nose emblem, the rear emblem back here. I know these aren't emblems, they're decals on the sides. This emblem was in the inside of the all 86 convertibles, not all 86s, just the convertibles. It was this was on the dash by the heater controls. Also in 86, they made 50 cars for this dealership. They were special just for him, and they had this emblem on it. And if you ordered a Callaway car in the C4s, you got this emblem on the front and back. In 88, the 35th anniversary, instead of having black around the edges, they chromed it, put a white insert here with a gold Chevrolet bow tie in it. Also on the 88s, on the sides, they had a 35th anniversary. on the anniversary cars was like this. Then in 91, instead of having the red with the black bow tie emblem, they changed it to black with the red bow tie emblem. From 90 to 95, all ZR1s had the ZR1 on the back rear corner. I was told that some of the early pilot cars had LT back there instead of the ZR, but I was unable to find a pilot car to get a picture of it to see what it was for sure. In 93, we had the 40th anniversary, which had some little different emblems on them. Instead of being black around here, it was chromed. Other than that, the center part of it was the same. The sides had 40th anniversary emblems on them. And if it was a ZR1, it had a 40th anniversary ZR1 emblem on the side. Plus the ZR1 on the back corner. And all C4s, well, not all C4s, the earlier C4s had the Corvette glued. It was a double-sided tape stuck to the back bumper. The later C4s, you'll see, has a recess, and it's recessed into the bumper on the, I think it's 95s and 96s. 95 pace car, basically the same emblems as what's on the regular car, just had the graphics and the paint, two-tone paint job. Seats had the special insignias on them and the pace cars. '96, we had a collector's edition, silver. It also had some extra emblems on it. The emblems on the front and the back was a little different than the normal. Has collector's edition in it rather than the bow tie emblem. It also had an emblem on the side, the collector's edition on the side. There's the gas cap emblem. 96 Grand Sports. Basically, the emblems were chromed around the outside rather than black like the normal cars. They got them chromed instead of black, with the Grand Sport on the side. And that's it for the C4s. Do we have any comments or questions on C4 stuff?
Couple chat comments. One is a kind of a general question on terminology. Is the rub strip the same thing as the body side molding?
Yes.
Okay. And then Peter had mentioned that the Pilot 89 ZR1 models did have an LT5 emblem that did not go into production. He's going to look at some transparencies to see if there was a bow tie logo on it. So I imagine if he finds something of interest, he might follow up with you directly.
Okay, yeah, because I knew at one time where there was one of the Pilot cars, but it's gone and I don't know where it went to, and I couldn't find any to get a good picture of. So yeah, any help like that I appreciate. Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to C5s. Front nose emblem and on the rear deck, basically the same on all years. There is some modifications on special models. You can see here the Corvette is recessed into the rear bumper, and you can see the emblem on the back deck. And there's on the hood. In '98, we had the pace car, had basically the same emblems front, back. just all the graphics on it. 2001, we come out with the Z06. This emblem was put on the front fender. Did not have a horsepower that year. In 2002 and 2004, the Z06s had a horsepower added to the bottom of the emblem. 2003, we had a 50th anniversary. This was a side emblem on the cars. There is a front emblem and a rear emblem. You can see it has the 50th anniversary in with the rest of the logo. You can see it here on the side. Had a pace car. The graphics on that. In 2004, we had a commemorative Le Mans edition, which had the extra piece in here. There's the mounted on the car. This particular one was a Z06. You can see the emblem on the side right here. And also we had a pace car, 2004. They had 3 different paint variations of this particular car. This was this was the official pace car, but they also had this one and this one, which I think them were just parade cars, from what I understand. And that's pretty much the end of my presentation. I hope I didn't bore you too much and you maybe found out a little bit about the emblems. Is there any comments or questions on the C5 stuff?
It's interesting that in the anniversary car 2003, they put the Fleur de Lis back in. It was missing for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
So from 83 to 2002, it was gone.
Yeah. If you look at it on this 2004, though, they've only got 1 bar under it, where earlier years they had 3 bars under it too. So there's a lot of variations.
At least it's back.
Yeah. Is there any other comments or any questions, or anybody got anything else to add?
Just an add on the C4 ZR1s. I think there's some debate on the LT5 logo. I think that was for the press cars only. The first production 90s hit the ground with a ZR1 on the tail end. There might have been some LT5 badges on the early mural cars from the late 80s, 88, 89, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah,
the heart of the beast.
The LT was just on the pre-production ones. The ZR1, when they finally come out with it, had the ZR1 on it, but the pre-production had the LT on it.
Yeah, there's some press photos of that with the LT5 on it.
Yeah,
it would be interesting. My dad worked at Goodyear and built tires for those 1989 cars, and they had the posters for the 1989 ZL1, which I have a few of, that came from Goodyear. I should go back and look and see what are on those posters.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. If it's got the LT or the ZR.
There's a quick chat comment, Mike, that was just mentioned that all 03s had the front and rear anniversary badging, which was silver in color.
All what now? 03s?
03s had the front and rear anniversary badging.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
And then 04 commemorative edition cars had the silver badging outline.
Okay. If that's all, I want to thank everybody for joining and putting up with me for the last hour or so, and I hope you maybe picked up maybe something out of it.
Hey, Mike, you might want to mention again about the session tomorrow for those that are kind of just
Okay.
want to know more about the Corvette market.
Yeah, tomorrow we've got a virtual session at 1 o'clock with the announcer from the NBC, Jim yeah, no, I'm getting tongue tied. Anyway, he's going to talk to us on the Mecum auction in Indianapolis coming up, and also on the collector car market. If you're interested, sign up online. Nick's got it posted. You got anything else to say that, Nick?
No, there's really no cutoff time. That posting and link will stay active throughout the presentation, so you could log in and jump on whenever you can. It's not a regular tech school, so there will be no judging points for that.
Yeah, I think it's just a good, if you're wanting to know, you know, what's because some of us have multiple models and multiple makes. It might be a good opportunity to ask them what's hot, what's not. You know, with COVID, what's that done to the collector car market? And just a good, yeah, I really appreciate Mike and Nick setting that up. But, you know, it's a chance to ask him directly, which I think is a great novel idea.
I have a general question.
Yeah.
About the session. I went down through the names. I didn't see mine, but I signed on through the national site.
And what was your name?
Schlepp, S-C-H-L-E-P-P.
And NCRS number?
18199.
Okay, I'll look into that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, Mike, as always. Love your stuff, and your knowledge is unparalleled. So thank you again. Thanks to Nick for setting this up. You guys do a great job, and always appreciate you guys putting this together. So with that, this is the Heart of Ohio, and we'll sign off.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.